Timon, what I said is that this is a very difficult question, and there are two aspects of it. There is the practical aspect and the moral and ethical aspect. If one was to take the moral and ethical aspect like Vincent did, it means that we have now condemned the world to death within the next 5 years, which means everybody dies. If we take the unethical and immoral stance and look at the societies that have the most children, they are usually the societies from low socioeconomic groupings and from low income countries and developing countries. So if you go and look at the Scandinavian countries, you will see they have a negative population growth. And if you look at Africa, Asia, you'll see that they have an abundance of population growth. So if you look at that and you say to yourselves, within the next 5 years, the entire population, the entire world population of 7.2 billion people is doomed, then unfortunately, I would have to say, yes, we need to enforce this law.
All right. Thank you. JVB.
Am I unmuted now?
Now we can hear you.
Okay, cool. Boy, like that film about the Chinese one child law. It's a documentary. I saw a trailer for that, and I just, oh my God, I could not bear to even watch 2 seconds of that. I feel like I get it, where that was headed. The tragedies that unfolded from snuffing out and hiding a second child and girls and all that. So I think just, since this is this question is just, speculative and made up, I would wonder about how feminism might be a real great direction for this all to head into, with, birth control being accessible, and with education, and knowing that a lot of the poor countries need the labor that having children will help, but not to burden the oxygen of the world also means that they should have birth control. It seems like this question is saying, is it okay that poor people are sterilized? And I'm not sure it needs to be this way, because morally, just that thing of is life, what is life worth? Is it, when a child is born, is that the most precious thing? Or are we supposed to not have life because it's doomed? It's limited. I mean, lifespans are limited anyway. But I'm not for the population explosion as it is now. But I do think that perhaps with less of a patriarchal and colonialized world, that birth control would be used by much more by poorer people who don't want that fifth kid, but they don't get it. That's their joy. Anyway, that's it. Yeah, I'm glad I don't have to vote on this. Thanks.
All right, awesome. Let's go to GP Trevor.
Can you hear me okay?
Soon, we'll hear you fine. Just keep talking.
Very good.
Yeah.
So, answering the question the way it's posed is kind of interesting. It seems to correlate socioeconomic considerations with the right to have children. So the disparity in socioeconomical considerations, if it's not addressed, then we can see how the fallout from that and making the right to bear children a concern in that regard, how it seems like you'd have to address the disparity first in crisis. So presupposes you can't address the issue of the socioeconomics, just the question to enforce the law about having children. So since in my mind it's kind of interwoven, I couldn't enforce it the way it stands. It's if you're going to use that as a requirement, then you have to address, okay, well, why is the population, why is there such a disparity that the 3 richest people in the world have more than the combined 10 poorest countries? Like, how is that? How do we live in a world that has that kind of disparity? If you don't address that and then you make other laws based on that wealth distribution, yeah, you're going to get yourself into some real tricky situations. So I guess in a sense, no would be the simple answer of making the way things stand now a reason that people can have children or not.
Yeah, I think it's also with a form of education, because when you enforce a law like this, you actually bring the information to those who are oblivious. Like someone said to me, rich people make money and poor people make children. And that kind of got to me, because when I was, once I had a friend who was driving like the top BMW, and he was living a good life. And then I said, you know, you're 45 years old. Why don't you have kids? And he says, I can't afford that shit yet. And it just made me think, like, you've got to rationally understand that to have children there's massive accountability and a responsibility. And by enforcing this type of law, you're bringing new information into their minds for reasons. And then obviously there'll be a lot of discussions around this and ways for them to now say, you know what, I'm so desperate to have children that I'm going to find a way to start making an income. But yes. All right. Those who've just joined, the question is behind you. Welcome to the moral dilemma. If you haven't spoken at all yet, and you're further on the couch or before JVB has spoken, then please raise your hand on the bottom right-hand corner, and we will definitely get to you. And if you're on the couch, I assume you want to speak, but you do have the opportunity to pass. Right. So now let's go to Zach Scriven.
Hey guys. All right. So you guys can call me like a glass half full type of guy, but the obvious thing to me that jumps out is, if we enact this law, then we're potentially limiting the person being born that could actually solve this problem to begin with.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, it's coming from a place of fear. This law, it makes no sense whatsoever. And from as Vincent was saying, from a personal liberty perspective, it definitely makes sense to not enforce this law. But I don't I don't like the way that the question is worded, because it assumes that the problem can't be fixed. So if you look at like what Elon Musk is doing, for example, I mean, that's essentially what he's trying to do, is not by regulation, but through innovation and passion, getting people to work together on solving a problem together rather than like enforcing it by law. Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
I just got to ask you a question, Zach Scriven. Is that, don't you think the law has more power over any private organization's ideas and thoughts? Do you not think that the law is the control mechanism that the world has to save it, to control it, to put order in?
No, because then you're saying that people would have chosen to choose electric vehicles if there was some law saying that they should have, but that's not what actually happened. People chose electric vehicles like the Tesla because the electric vehicle was the better choice. People are inherently going to serve their self-interest. So I think we need to, kind of acknowledge that we all need to work together too. We're all part of this. And, it makes sense to, carry the light of consciousness on into the future. So there is an incentive for us to work together. I get excited about a more, exciting version of the future, right? So that's something that's worth working on. So,
right. Okay.
But to answer your question, no, I would like to see why though. Like, because who actually, listens to the, like, I think they may say they listen to the law, but when it actually comes down to it, look at people in positions of power. They may say, oh, COVID, everyone needs to wear a mask, but then they're caught like golfing or whatever. Like,
Right.
so their actual selfish desires end up trumping their what they say.
I mean, it's not going to apply to everyone, but we can agree that we've never seen more people wear masks in the entire history, probably since the what was it, the Spanish flu. But then again, the population wasn't even close. The Spanish flu was very located, and this is a world issue. So obviously, we're going to get people that's not going to conform to society and the laws. But yes, the law is all we have right now for massive control. And I don't know if you saw at the back, but due to the overpopulation crisis, the world will run out of oxygen in 5 years. So something has to be done. Right, let's go to Yellow Majesty.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Timon, Ali. I think that many of the people here have said very good things already. Starting with Dr. Sam, I liked his distinction between being pragmatic or being ethical in a very tricky situation. And also JBB raised some good points as well as the other ones. I think this is a very tricky question, but as you just said, we have a particular problem, an issue that the oxygen is actually going to run out in 5 years. That is, of course, if we accept this question in its current form, which I, for the sake of it, do. So I will not criticize the underlying rationale of the question as some of the people here did. Instead, I would say, I will take the pragmatic route. I'm a very ethical guy in general, but in this case, I would say that the ethical part is actually related to the pragmatic part. So I would elaborate on what Dr. Sam was saying, but have a different perspective on like the ethical part here has to also do with the individuals, not the individuals who are already on the planet, not those who will potentially be born. And from that perspective, taking a consequentialist stance on that, the ontological stance towards that, I would say that the answer to this question from my part would be yes, because we need to think about the very fact that the oxygen will run out in 5 years. So even if we withhold a utilitarian perspective, what matter does it make when all people will die in 5 years? So even if we have new children on this planet that are born during those 5 years, their lifetime will be very short, and that's not ethically right towards them to put them in this world and then just take their lives after 5 years. So I would say yes, we need this law.
Awesome, thank you. All right, let's go to Schnezzles.
Hello.
Hi.
I to be honest, just being straight with you, I've been trying to think like of another law that would be better than that, but I couldn't think of it. And I was just thinking, well, people must come to like together and understand this crisis. Like we've got to all do something. But if we don't, supposedly we don't put anything there, and like people know of the threat, that's got to like install some sort of fear into people. People have got to understand that there's nothing there like a plan. So supposedly you would think that everyone should like work together and try and fix this. Like very selected people will be chosen to like have children or something. I mean, I'm just saying like we either all just move together or either it's just sort of we're fucked.
Yeah. All right, awesome. Pekka.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
Sorry. Yeah, from my point of view, yeah, of course, it's a problem if you need to decide something like who's gonna leave and who's gonna not leave. But I think it, in some cases, it would be useful to have at least some kind of rule that you need to do something. If you don't do anything, you just drink booze all the time and or do drugs or anything. Of course, it's a bit different that if you're really trying to do make everybody's life better. So I would say that it's 1 meter, of course, if it's an income meter, but it's still something that you're doing and you're trying, and I would say that it's still
Awesome.
it's a one easy meter to kind of say that, hey, you're really trying here something.
Thanks, Pekka. All right, Buddy Darmarzen.
Hello.
Hi, long time no see.
Thank you.
Hi.
Thank you. Yeah. I know. Sorry, you sent me an invitation, but I was doing something else, so sorry to arrive late.
No reasons.
But I appreciate that you sent me the invitation, Timon.
No problem.
Well, thank you very much. I was like thinking and hearing everybody like saying about this. I have probably a different view in the sense that as long as I do recognize that we need a way to organize ourselves in community, and as long as I recognize that, as you said, currently we have the vehicle or the tool that we call law to enforce regulations or ways for people, acceptable ways for people to behave, or etc. On the other hand, I also see that this never fully works. There's always a transgression. There's always a way to bend the rules. There's always people.
Sorry, just hold on a second.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, are you going to say something?
No, sorry. Okay, continue. Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
it's because I'm not sure what happened, but suddenly I was in mute, so I hope that you were listening to me because.
Yes, no, we heard you. We heard you.
All right, fantastic. So the thing is, going back to what we were saying, what I was saying, when somebody does the rule, like somebody over there said, people who is above somehow the law and people who have to comply with the law. And I believe that is not, I mean, it's not that there is an easy question or an easy way to deal with that, but I just find that that is on its own proof about that the system does not work as we all expect it to work. Now, that said, regarding the specific question that we have here, obviously, I wouldn't enforce the law because I know a bit of science and I know that we can fabricate oxygen relatively easily. So I don't see a way of having to use a law to enforce people into not having a family when we have an alternative. And I would always, if I was in command or in rule, and I was, I would say, let's focus in creativity, not in control.
All right, awesome. Thank you. Nice science point of view.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, we do need scientists more involved in government and taking control. Ali.
What I would do, well, definitely not. I would not enforce the law. I would, vegetation grows quite rapidly. I would impose a law for vegetation to be planted because we all know plants make oxygen. And in 5 years, miracles can happen in that sense. And within those 5 years, I would also concentrate on educating the population and trying to make the process slower. of overpopulation. And I think that would be more effective than just imposing a law. I think it's unethical and not fair for those that do want to have children and a lot of people that won't want to have children. What about you, Tim?
Well, I just got something very quick to say that sorry. I would enforce the rule just for a short period of time just to see how it works, because with the current poverty and impoverished states, there's a lot of, I mean, look at Ethiopia. There's 90 million people that are starving every single day. And we can say that it's to save the world population because of the oxygen crisis. But for me, it would be to create some form of order and test to see if people stop having children that's not within the tax bracket, what will happen in terms of the poverty levels? What will happen in terms of the state of the world's how do you say it? Utility? So I would do it more as like a test, because who's to say that the law will be enforced forever? It's just to save the current situation and to see how to fix it. All right, so now feel free to raise your hands, bottom right-hand corner, for anyone who hasn't spoken. I see there's only one, so if we do get through these two people, then we'll move to the second one for the day, which is a lot more spicier. Over blood. Megaphone's yours. You there?
Difficult decision. And it's not only oxygen, just bear in mind that it is predicted by 2050 we will run out of water. So you could put the same thing here for water. We're going to run out of water. So it is as difficult as it is from a moralistic and an ethical point of view. You have 5 years. So I stand by what I say, that you've got to take this hard action in order to save the planet. But Timon, I'd like to hear the next question, so let me not bug the discussion.
Okay, let's go to Waldo.
Yeah, I think I kind of would mimic what Yellow Majesty was saying with, like, you know, particularly from a utilitarian perspective, and considering that this law is our only option. I would say you definitely have to enforce the law, because, you know, anybody born between now and the 5 years when oxygen runs out, you know, what's really even the point? Because we'll all be out of oxygen and then we'll all be gone. So definitely, like, not holding for the possibility of alternate options, because I'm sure, you know, if you open up that possibility, there's always a better solution, right? But if this was our only choice and we had to choose now, then I definitely think we'd have to enforce this law.
Awesome, thank you. That's it. Final person that's raised their hand. So to those who've just joined, I see 10 more people have joined. Welcome to the Moral Dilemma. Today we are talking about overpopulation, where we state a dilemma and then we ask you a question and we go around the virtual table. So in this case, if you sit on the couch, you'll have a chance to speak, and we'll go in a clockwise direction. So we're now ready for the second dilemma. And the second dilemma is,